focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
Welcome to the Wealth on the Beach podcast. My name is Daniel Alonzo, and again, we're bringing you some of the greatest minds on earth, some of the greatest business leaders that we can find. And today is pretty amazing. We got a heavy hitter here today. His name's John Assaraf. He is a leading mindset and behavioral expert in the world. He's been on Larry King and Anderson Cooper, Ellen DeGeneres show. His latest book, The Proven Science to Unleash Your Brain's Hidden Power, is going to be a complete bestseller. And I'm just really excited about talking to him about that today. He has built 5 multi-million-dollar companies, taken a company public before as well. 1,200 associates with his real estate company. That's where he made his first millions. And, he used to do $4.5 billion in sales. He's a real player, and he's going to give us a lot of value today. 2 New York Times bestseller books. And by the way, you guys might remember him from The Secret, one of my favorite scenes of The Secret, when he's showing his son his dream board, which, by the way, he doesn't know this, but he inspired the world to do dream boards. We all do dream boards because of this guy. And look, today he's the founder of CEO of NeuroGym, brain training methods that help individuals strengthen their mindset. Look, I know that's a huge intro, but it's well-deserved. John, what really is the secret, dude?
The real secret is everybody already has everything they need within them to achieve all the success they want. That's the real secret.
And you talk about set points. Can you explain set points?
Sure. A lot of the research that I do now with some of the top brain researchers and neuropsychologists in the world is all around, our brain. That specifically, why do we do the things that we do every day? Why don't we do the things that we want to do or know we should do? What really drives our behavior and what really stops us from taking action? So I've been fascinated, especially being an entrepreneur, like just about everybody that's watching right now. How do I achieve more of my potential? How do I let go of the things that hold me back? Whether it's me thinking, am I really smart enough to achieve that? Or me thinking, but what if I try my best and I fail? And, how will people think of me? What will my children think of me? Or what will I think of me? So I've been fascinated with those questions, but from a purely neuroscience perspective of what's actually happening in my brain that is causing me to either be motivated and move forward or motivated and not move forward. So all the work that I've done in the last 15 years is around the neuroscience of success and really understanding the deepest level of performance, personal performance, which also translates obviously to team performance, et cetera. So that's really the work I'm doing. And that's why I wrote Inner Size, my new book on how do you activate the hidden power in your own brain.
And so that's exciting to me because I'm fascinated as well, John, with just why do we do the things we do. And I know some of that comes from our childhood and kind of, understanding, the things that happened to us early on. I want to go back with you, as I do with all my guests. I want to go back with you and tell me about your childhood. Tell me what your parents did for a living.
My father was a cab driver, and my mother worked at a local department store. And my dad, went out at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive his cab and came home at 5 o'clock at night to have dinner with my brother and sister and mother and I. And then at 6:30, he went back out till 9:30 to try and make an extra $15. If he made $50 in a day, he was like, wow, that was a great day. Like, we're rich. And there was always too much month left at the end of the money. Unfortunately, he was a gambler. So whatever he made, There was always food on the table, so I'll give him that. There was always clothes on our back, and I'll give him that. But there were also plenty of fights between my mother and he around the lack of money, his gambling addiction, etc. So there's a lot of trauma that I experienced between him and my mother, and it was all around money or the lack of money. And so I initially, you know, when I was younger, developed this, I guess, negative association around money, that, you know, money, either having it or not having it, you know, created a lot of problems in families. And so I got into an enormous amount of trouble as a kid, stealing money when I was 10 years old, 11, 12, 13, 14, stealing money, selling drugs at 13, 14, 15, doing breaking and entries into people's homes or businesses just so I can steal something to be able to sell it to get money, so that I wouldn't have to, you know, feel that inadequacy and that fear of not having money, which is what my mother was experiencing. And fortunately for me, I had a really wonderful mentor when I was 19. And my brother introduced me to this one man who he thought could help me in my life. And my first meeting was at lunch. I had taken the train 350 miles away from Montreal to Toronto. And at lunch, I met this man named Alan Brown. And he was a very, very successful entrepreneur with real estate offices, with real estate buildings, with investments, a philanthropist, a father, a husband. And it seemed like this guy's got his shit together. And so we sat at lunch and he said to me, he says, like, what are some of your goals? I said, well, I'd love to get a job. I'd love to get a car. I'd like to move out of my parents' house so I could, you know, not have to live at 19 years old in my mom and dad's house. He says, well, why aren't you like doing that? He says, well, I left high school at grade 11. I don't think I'm really that smart compared to the people that are, you know, in college and are getting degrees. And my father was a cab driver. He never made enough money. And I gave him all these stories and excuses and reasons. And he says, well, great. I mean, you got a lot of stories and reasons and excuses of why you can't. He says, like, what are some of your bigger goals? And I said, I don't have any bigger goals. So he actually gave me this document. This was in April of 1980. And he gave me this document that says, you know, how much would you like to earn a year? What net worth would you like to have when you retire? What kind of car do you want? What kind of home do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you have? And I was like, I have no freaking idea. All I could put down on this paper was the stuff that I saw from a TV show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And I just started, I want a mansion. I want a Mercedes. I want a jet. I want stuff, right? Just stuff. And so he looked at this document. He says, well, none of this is unreasonable. He says, but if you answer this one question I'm going to ask you, I will let you know in less than 1 second whether you will be able to achieve that or not. I'm like, one question? And he goes, yeah, one question. And he goes, great. Are you interested in achieving this lifestyle and these success targets that you have, or are you committed to achieving them? And I said, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? He said, listen, son, he said, everything that you want to achieve is very achievable. He says, but if you're interested, you're going to do what's easy and what's convenient. You're going to allow your old story and identity and your beliefs and your habits. You're going to allow all of that to control you. But if you're committed, you will upgrade your knowledge and your skills. You will let go of the disempowering, limited beliefs you have about yourself and what's possible or not possible. He says that you will become the man who's capable of achieving those goals, and all of those goals are doable. So are you interested or are you committed? I said, well, I'm committed. And then he reached out his hand. He says, great, in that case, I will be your mentor. In 1 second, with one question, with one answer, this man who I later found out was worth, back in 1980, over $100 million, became my first mentor. And then he said to me, so that was the beginning of a shift in me, because I just uttered these words, I'm committed. And then he started to explain to me what that meant.
And I think I think even in sales, John, because you obviously came from this sales background, selling real estate, highly successful at doing that. And I think we get it wrong. We say, what's your goal this month? Instead of saying, what's your commitment this month? What are you committed to doing versus what are you hoping to do? And there's a big difference between hope and actual commitment, right?
Absolutely. When we take a look at the neuroscience of hope and what that lights up in the brain, it's a very, very different neural circuit than the circuit of commitment and the circuit that activates your motor cortex. What's really interesting is right after that moment, he said to me, he says, great, well, the first thing I need you to do is move from Montreal to Toronto. I go, I can't move from Montreal to Toronto. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't have any money. He goes, look at how fast you went back to your story and your excuse. He said, here's lesson number one. How to do anything comes after you commit to doing it. How to do anything will come after you commit to doing it. I go, I understand that, but I'm 19. I don't have any money. I don't have a car. Like, where am I going to live here? He goes, make the decision first, figure out how after. So I said, fine, I'll move here. And then my brother chimed in. He said, hey, listen, you could stay with me for a little bit of time. And I said, well, great, thank you. But, I was a little bit angry at this time. And then Mr. Brown says to me, the next thing I want you to do is the real estate course in Humber College starts on May the 5th. I want you in that course. It's $500 to be in that course. I said, what? I can't go back to school. I left school in grade 11. I failed English. I failed math. They kicked me out of chemistry. And other than the gym class, I failed every other course too. And I said, I don't want to go back to school. I hate school. I'm not good at school. And I don't have the $500. He goes, do you realize what you just did again? I go, what? He says, you just gave me the story, the reasons, the excuse. And if you keep having those stories and reasons and excuses, which seem normal to you, you are going to stay stuck for the rest of your life in this state. So I said, okay, great. I'll freaking move to Toronto. I don't have any money, but I'm going to go to a course that I don't want to go to, that I'm not smart enough to complete. Real estate. What the hell do I know about real estate? And he says, there you go again. That's 3 times in less than 5 minutes. You're coming up with all of what's happening in your brain. So to keep the story short, I said, fine, I'll do it. I had like $60 of my own. My brother lent me 100. My sister lent me 100. My father made up the difference as a loan. I moved to Toronto, got into the course on May the 5th, 1980, graduated June 20th, 1980 with a real estate certificate. I was 19 years old, and now I could sell real estate. And the reason I remember these dates so well, number one, the story was one that changed my life, but I had not passed a test in school without cheating for the previous 4 years, and I did this one on my own. So not only did he give me the gift of commitment, the gift of a decision, the gift of stepping up and allowing myself to rise instead of fall by my stories, but he helped me realize maybe I am smarter than I think I am, which I believe every human being is who may have a self-image challenge.
And so you became really successful in real estate. I mean, you kick tail pretty good. Why do you think you were so different from most salespeople? Because you and I both know there's a lot of lazy salespeople out there. A lot of people that they have grand dreams of they have great dreams of grandeur, and they just never quite get there. What separated you? Why did you make it and so many people didn't? Or especially as a young kid too. I mean, you're pretty young doing it.
Yeah, I got to real estate when I was 19 and sold real estate and made like 30,000 my first year and 151,000 my next year. Then I went and traveled around the world, came back, and then in 1986 I bought Remax in Indiana and opened up 85 offices and grew that company. But I used fear as fuel back then. And one of the courses that I now teach that I have on brain retraining is turning your fear into fuel. I was so freaking petrified of failing and of living a miserable life and of not facing my demons of not being good enough or smart enough, that I was willing to do whatever it takes. That was part one, but there's another part to it. Mr. Brown set up a process and an environment for me to grow. So he took me out of the petri dish filled with self-doubt and uncertainty and unpredictability and self-loathing and fears. And he put me in a petri dish where those things could actually become my fuel. And what he did, he said, listen, I get that your self-image isn't the greatest. I get it, and I understand why. I get that you have fears. That's fine, I understand that. He said, but if we can help you retrain your brain for 1 hour a day, at the end of 1 year, you're gonna have 9 40-hour weeks, okay, of training. He said at the end of 2 years, okay, that's 18 40-hour weeks. At the end of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you're not gonna be the same human. So every day, when I came into the office, I had to be there by 8 o'clock every day. I would sit with my goals, with my new beliefs that I needed to believe, which I didn't initially, that I could achieve those. I was smart enough and good enough and worthy enough, and I could learn whatever was needed to learn. I'm there to help people, blah, blah, blah. I recited those every day. I recorded them on cassette tapes and listened to them every day. I put my fingers across my goals with my right hand and my left hand every single day. I closed my eyes and pretended like a Hollywood actor that I was living that lifestyle and I was achieving those goals. And I didn't know it then, but he was training my brain, and he was helping me develop a new self-image. He was helping me develop the confidence and the certainty to actually take some action instead of being afraid of it. And he put me in the environment where I could not fail unless I didn't even try. And so one of the reasons I am doing what I do today after building Remax of Indiana and Bamboo.com and several other companies is there's only 4 reasons why people don't take action. So there isn't 100. There's only 4 why somebody, who wants to achieve, whether it's sales success or business success or relationship success or being a good father or mother or whatever it is, there's only 4 reasons why people do not follow through. And so all the work that I do now is understanding those 4 things and then creating tools, whether it's books or audio programs or video programs, whatever it is, to help people recognize and release those things as they retrain their brain around those 4 things. And when you're ready, I'll share with you what those 4 things are.
Yeah. I think that when you go back, I mean, that's such a long time ago. I mean, that's a lot of years. And so
40 years ago.
40 years ago, right? So 40 years, you transformed your brain. Because I think as human beings, we just are born to think that we are who we are. It's like, kind of, God made me this way. And, I should just be happy with what I have because this is how God made me. And I think that people struggle, psychologically, they struggle with the notion that our brains are kind of like computers where you actually, because what you did, and by the way, I did very similar to what changed my life. I did the same thing, but people struggle with the fact that they could actually reprogram. I want you to talk about this a little bit, how they can program their brain like a computer. They can reprogram their brain to have the things that they want. Is that true, or is it just pie in the sky?
100% true. So to give people a visual, okay, of how it works and why it works, so we don't have to get too deep into the neuroscience stuff. I want you to imagine, everybody who's listening or watching, imagine you're sitting with your friend having a coffee or a tea and you're having a great dialogue. And your favorite Hollywood, either actor or actress or producer, choose whichever one you want, taps you on the shoulder and goes, excuse me, I'm blank, and you already know who they are because they're your favorite Hollywood producer or actress or actor. And they go, listen, I just finished reading a script with my friend Tom Hanks over there, and we just looked over to you, and you look like the person in a role that we just read, and your look is perfect for that. If we paid you $5 million, would you just consider coming to Hollywood and reading the script for us off of the paper, of course, and if you get through that and we think that there's some hope for you, we'll pay you, $10 million to play that role. And we'll give you all of the training, the coaching. We'll give you everything that you need over the next year. Would you consider doing that? And let's say you were like, oh my God, me? And you go, yeah, I'd consider doing that. And so you agree that you're going to go to Hollywood, and you read the script the first time, and they're like, you're good. We can work with you. And so let's say you got the role, and then you got the script, and it's a new script. You've only seen it for the first time when you went up to Hollywood, and you read it, and it was very unfamiliar. It's kind of, you had to hunch yourself a little bit. You had to have a little bit of an accent. You didn't know the lines. It didn't make sense. It was all brand new to you. What would you do to own that script so that sometime a year later, you could get in front of a camera and you can hit that out of the park? And they gave you acting lessons. They gave you voice lessons. They gave you everything you needed to be that script. What would you do to learn the script? And the answer for most people is I'd read it 100 times, 500 times. I'd practice it. I'd record it. I'd have friends of mine test me. I'd watch the video. And I would go, does this sound better? Or does this sound better? Right? And you would practice until what was uncomfortable became a little bit more comfortable. And what was more comfortable became a part of you because you repeat it so many times. And then what became a part of you, you started behaving that way. And the whole process of practice, whether it's lines on a paper or closing your eyes and seeing it, or doing research on the role and then rehearsing it and drilling it and rehearsing it, becomes more and more and more and more natural and normal. So you go from conscious effort to unconscious competence. That's the process every Hollywood actor or actress goes through. By the same token, it's the process every Navy SEAL goes through. It's the same process every astronaut goes through. It's the same process every athlete, musician, pianist, guitarist goes through to go from this doesn't make any sense yet to holy shit, I could just do this with ease. So back in 1980 when I started, I did this every day for an hour. And 40 years later, I do it every day for 30 minutes, still today. Why? Because every time I read it, every time I think about it, every time I close my eyes and I see it and I feel it and I act as if it's already real, I'm creating a neural pattern in my brain that's getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And what we know from neuroscience is the neurons that are the strongest require the least amount of energy to fire. The neurons that are the stronger, the neuron connections that are the strongest require the least amount of energy to fire in the brain. So what does that mean? Oh, that becomes a habit. Oh yeah, so now I can become what I read on a piece of paper that I didn't believe before, but now because it's a subconscious, implicit memory and habitual pattern, now I'm going to see the world as that is. I'm going to experience and feel and behave as that is, even though it may not be the truth right now.
And so, that's why the dream boards work. That's why I've even to this day, what I do is I made a dream video. Yep. So I have a 4-minute video with music in there, and yep. I just play it when I get up in the morning. I play it before I go to bed at night. And it's amazing how so many things in my life have been created by those thoughts. And by, when I first got in business, I wrote down 150 things of a lifetime that I wanted to achieve. And I had it up on my wall and I read it every day and I dreamed about it. And I emotionally got into pretending that I was there. And so, yeah, it's amazing how we can reprogram and reshift our brains if we choose to. But are you saying, John, that changing your life is actually going to take some work, though? Is that what you're saying?
Well, a lot of people who saw the movie The Secret think, it's think, believe, and you'll achieve. A lot of people forget to look at the last 6 letters of the word attraction, and it's action, right? So attraction, the last 6 letters is action. Now, it's not just any action. As a salesperson, you could be talking to a lot of people, but if you're saying the wrong things, they're not going to take the action you would like them to. They'll take an action, and you'll sell them not to buy your product or service or program or whatever it is. Every day, all day, we are selling each other on believe me about this, buy this, don't buy this, don't believe that. And so action also has to be considered the same way as you would the combination to a safe. Right? So if you have, let's say, 3 numbers to open up a safe or 4 numbers to open up a safe, if you try, let's say the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4. If you try 1, 2, 3, 4 and it doesn't work, you go, okay, 1, 3, 2, 4, it doesn't work. 1, 4, 3, 2, it doesn't work. 4, 2, 1, 3. If you don't have the actions in the right order at the right time, you could be working very, very hard, but you will not be making progress. You'll be working very hard in place. So in addition to the right mindset and skill set, there has to be the right action set of what should I do first, second, third, fourth. There's a sequence to success. And what most people try to do is figure that out. Well, have you ever tried to figure out the Rubik's Cube? Like, most people never solve the Rubik's Cube, not because it's not solvable. They've never been taught the patterns. It's an algorithm, it's a pattern. And if I blindfolded anybody that could just either go yes or no, in less than 3 minutes, you could take somebody who's blindfolded with a Rubik's Cube expert next to them in less than 3 minutes, just by going yes or no, yes, leave your move, or no, don't. They could get you to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube in less than 3 minutes, where it would take you 100 years to figure it out on your own. And so the syntax matters. And here's the thing that I believe in today's day and age. It's 2020. Every single how that every person that's watching us or listening to us right now, all the how, we already know. How do I make more money? You want to make 100 grand? Great. You want to make $1 million? Oh, great. You want to invest in real estate? Great. You want to short the stock market? Great. You want to buy options? Great. You want to build a business? Great. You want, I want to lose weight and keep it off? Great. You want to have a better relationship? All the how we know. The problem isn't the how, because that we can buy. The challenge is, even when we know how, why do I still not take inspired action?
So did you think that this secret thing was gonna explode like it did? I mean, what was that like when, well, let me ask you this. I mean, when you got called up to do that, and you did it, I mean, did you think that this thing was gonna be as world known, world shaking that it was? Did you?
No, that would be, it would be like knowing that our, session today, our interview is going to, reach 500 million people because whatever. No, we there's a bunch of us that were invited to be in the movie. Most people don't know this, but we basically filmed in a small hotel room where each one of the people, the experts, were sitting in a chair with a green screen behind them. And they were asking us questions just like you're asking me right now. And then Rhonda, in her wizardry, was able to create a movie around all the answers and a story around it. And the movie's been seen by, 500, 600, 700 million people. So did we know? We had no idea. All we knew was we loved the topic. We want to share because we care. And we wanted other people to achieve the life success that we know that everybody's capable of achieving if they're willing to put in a little bit of effort into it. So no, we had no idea. And because of that, the good news is because of that, I got pretty well known around the world. The challenging news is the first couple of years it was just mayhem of I couldn't, it was like, it made me realize I don't want to be a Hollywood, celebrity, because you don't have any privacy if you're in a restaurant or in an airport or something like that. So the good news is it gave me exposure. The challenging news is like, sure, We'll sign one more time. It's like a pain in the ass after a while. But it also helped a lot of people with one exception, right? It gave a lot of people false hope. It gave a lot of people false hope that I could just sit there like a monk, you know, and write my goals or create a vision board and pray and hope and meditate, and somebody's going to knock on my door and, oh, your $1 million is here. It's like, no. You're missing part of it, right? The other part is the action part of doing the right things in the right order at the right time and busting your little act.
It's because of the quantum physics portion of that. So can you kind of explain that? Because a lot of the secret has to do with the quantum physics where, you know, obviously you put it out in the universe and things are attracted to you by way of the universe. Like, can you explain that to us in layman's terms?
Yeah, and that's actually the misnomer, right? Is the universe doesn't work that way. The universe is not a cosmic bell captain where you go, ding, ding, car, please. You know, it doesn't work that way. But if you want to understand a little bit of the quantum physics side of it, then let's go to the law of resonance, and let's go to the law that Tesla understood around frequency and vibration and resonance. And so if you think about this, let's say you're sitting at the piano and you're playing the piano and you hit the A440 key on the piano. Why is it that if there's a crystal chandelier 15 feet away, why is it that the chandelier starts to move? Like what's going on there? And the answer is there's a resonance field on that frequency, okay? So the piano vibration is in resonance with the crystal resonance. If you have a tuning fork, that's how a tuning fork works also. 2 examples there. Let me give you a 3rd example. Let's talk about music and frequency. If somebody wants to listen to punk rock right now, right? And there's no music in their room right now. There's no music in their car. The car radio's off. There's no music. And they go, I want punk rock right now. They can go to their iPhone or mobile phone or their radio and find the station with punk rock. And the receiver, okay, in the radio or on their TV or in their phone tunes in to a frequency that is being broadcast from the radio station, right? So, and let's say after 15 seconds, I go, nah, I really don't feel like punk rock. I want classical music. And they just shift the dial from 95.1 to 95.2. In that nanosecond, the frequencies, all the other frequencies, punk rock is gone, jazz is gone, classical music is gone, you know, whatever is already in the room is set aside, and they are tuning into the station that they want. Well, our brain is the most powerful electromagnetic switching station in the known universe. So when we lock on a vision and goals, and we get our brain locked in on that, we are vibrating at the frequency of that vision or that image, right? When we get our heart involved, our emotion, we know that there's a heart coherence factor that emanates from us. Now we have brain and heart coherence. And if we are following our gut, right, the second brain of the human body, okay, it's not the heart, it's the gut, with, you know, 100 trillion microbes, gut microbes. Now, when we're in coherence between head, heart, and gut, is it possible, just a question, is it possible that now I am vibrating, oscillating at the frequency in coherence and harmony instead of in chaos? Chaos being, yeah, I want that. No, I don't. Maybe I want this. Is it working fast enough? But am I good enough? But am I smart enough? What if I'm too young? What if I'm too old? So what happens to most people is they lock in on the vision, the goals, and they create a vision board, and then they start to create chaos everywhere else. So the initial station that they went on, great job, but then they kept switching, 95.4, 94.3, 98.1, 102.4, and that would be the equivalent of getting 5 world-class musicians together, all right? They're not jazz artists. and having them play out of harmony. They might be the best in the world of what respective instrument they play, but if they can't get into harmony, there's chaos and it doesn't sound great. And so what most people don't understand is, how do I get and stay in coherence with the vision and the goals that I want?
What a beautiful visual. That was so clear, John. Thank you for that. That was amazing. So let's reverse a little bit, and I want you to give us some of those 4 ideas to help us kind of make the transition to get the things that we really want.
Great. So number 1, we have to start off, okay, with the vision. Like, what is the vision? Write it down so it is as clear as if somebody was to read it, they would know exactly what you mean. So write out the vision for your health, wealth, relationship, career, business, fun, experiences, charitable contributions, etc. Write it out clearly so that there is no misunderstanding of the specificity. I'm messing up that word, of being specific on what that vision is. Part 1. Part 2. What are some goals between here and there? What are some goals 30 days from now? What are some goals 90 days from now? What are some goals a year from now, 2 years from now? So when we have a vision that our brain locks into, and we have goals that tell our brain, hey, by this time frame, we want to reach there. Now our brain says, okay, I can start to get, what you're trying to do. I can understand where you're getting to. Our brain, in order to create coherence, needs to have a few things. Is what specifically that activates what I call is the Einstein part of the brain, okay? Why specifically activates the emotional limbic side of the brain. By when specifically activates the time-bound part of our brain. Who is going to be involved to help? And then what are some specific action steps to get going? So now what we're doing is we're releasing and reducing neural tension in our brain. So we have what, why, when, who, how. And the brain says, okay, I am going to take my foot off of the brake, and I'm actually going to activate the motivational center in your brain. I'm going to release a little bit of dopamine to make you feel good. I'm going to give you a little adrenaline boost to make you feel good. Let's take the first few action steps. So when we start to work with how our brain works, we can make achieving goals faster and easier. Not fast and easy, faster and easier. That's part one. Part two is asking ourselves, asking ourselves some real questions, like what might get in my way? Like what might get in my way? Why do we even ask ourselves that question? Well, because the other part of our brain called the Frankenstein's brain that I have, up here over my right shoulder, our Frankenstein brain is already thinking of that at an unconscious level because it's focusing on avoidance of pain and survival. So let's get ahead of the curve. So what could get in our way? Well, fear of failure might get in my way. Fear of trying my best and it not being good enough, and maybe I'm really not worthy of the success that I want. If I call him up and he hangs the phone up on me, I'm going to be embarrassed or ashamed. Oh God, I don't want to do that. So when you understand, why people do or don't do what they should be doing, we're dealing with automatic neural mechanisms that are protecting them, right? So it's not that people are lazy, all right? It's that people are afraid of being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, judged, blamed. They're embarrassed of failing and what that means to their identity or what their spouse or significant other or boyfriend or girlfriend or children will think of them. And they prefer to master disappointment instead of mastering their emotions. Because at least if I master disappointment, I've mastered something, and it's easier for me to stay stuck and disappointed than put myself out there and be embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged. So I prefer to master that disappointment and not have anybody expect anything of me. And so the reason I share this with you, as I mentioned earlier, there's only 4 things that hold people back. And they're all interconnected in our brain. Our brain operates on circuits turning on or off, chemicals being activated into our bloodstream that causes us to either put the gas pedal on or the brake on. That's how this system works, right? We have 9 systems in our body, most of it is run off of either our sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system, which is the brain sending signals to one system, dominant system, another that's connected to different circuits. So the reason I'm taking you down that path is we have the most powerful biocomputer in the whole freaking universe. Nobody who's watching or listening right now has to buy it. You already own it. You're a quintillion trizillionaire already. So you're extremely wealthy, but you just don't have the operator's manual for your brain. And that's why I wrote Inner Size, the new science to unlock your brain's hidden power, is I have been working for years with the top scientists in the world who know the science, but I understand how to explain it and create the tools for people to just use it better. And it was just from self-discovery and being a student myself and having my company, you know, go to $4.5 billion a year in sales. It wasn't by teaching them more closing skills. It wasn't by teaching them how to market or sell better. It was by teaching them how to change their brain so they would unleash the power and potential that was already there. And then they wanted to learn all the other stuff. So I worked on the inside, the core, as opposed to the outside, the strategies, tactics, tools, resources. That's like so far out of the nucleus of what's actually triggering everything. So I wanted to get into what's triggering performance, what's triggering a healthy self-confidence and self-image, what's triggering these fears, and are they real or imagined? Can I manage them better versus them managing me, causing me to react in ways that I don't want to react those ways? I want to take action. I want to make money. I want to live a great lifestyle. I want to be healthy. I want to be a great husband, a great wife, a great friend. I want to give to charities. I want to do all that stuff, but why am I not doing it? Well, I know why. And so we're helping people go to the core of why safely, calmly, in a respectful, healthy way, because we're all made from the same thing. We're all one. And anybody who thinks we're separate, I can understand why you may think that, but as the more you study, you realize, oh my God, we're all made from the same source. And we all have a brain that works the same. It's not like your brain works differently than mine. It all works the same. The circuits all work the same. But what causes me to have fear may not cause you to have fear. What causes me to be embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged or feel that way may not cause you to feel that way. So that means that there's something in my brain that with a few little adjustments, I could tweak it. Right? And I could deliberately evolve myself. And that's the stage we're at right now, where we can use, you know, evidence-based methodologies. We can use some technologies. And that's why I put all of those into my brain training programs, is we have so much more information in 2020 than we did for the last, you know, there's 108 billion humans that have walked on Earth. We finally have a little bit more of the user's manual for the brain. Well, why not use that? Like, why not use that right now? Right? Like, why live with your ideas from the 70s or 80s or 90s or 2000? Like, why? There's new technology. There's new methods right now that are at your disposal to make it easier. So that's the fun I have.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I could keep you here all day, but I know that you're on a time schedule today. Couple last quick questions. That was beautifully, beautifully said. Favorite book besides your own?
Yeah, obviously, you know, the books that I've written. It just depends for what. Sapiens is a really, really great book by Noel Harari, and it's really the history of our species, which will shatter your thoughts around religions, beliefs, perceptions. Like, wow, really, really a great book that I've enjoyed. Leonardo da Vinci, the biography of Leonardo da Vinci is outstanding. And you think about it, you know, how did he develop or draw helicopters, and how did he draw things that we didn't even have the tools to create them at the time? What was he tapping into to be able to come up with stuff that took us hundreds of years later to be able to build them? So just tapping into that, Leonardo da Vinci's genius, like Renaissance man galore. So there's a variety of different books for, you know, that on the brain, on business, on different things that I like. So I read, you know, 100 books a year.
Favorite movie?
Gladiator and the 10 Commandments.
And the 10 Commandments, all right. Takes you way back. Favorite food?
I'm vegan, so I love fresh, raw vegetables, believe it or not. And I make a power smoothie every day with just the most amazing ingredients. But I love Thai. I love mega spicy. I eat ghost peppers. I eat Trinidad scorpion. I eat the hottest peppers in the world, even in my smoothies. So sweet and spicy, bomb.
Where were you born? I don't know if we
Tel Aviv, Israel is where I was born. My father's from Morocco, where they eat a lot of spicy food. So I ate a lot of spicy food as a kid.
That probably helped out. Yeah, really. Ice cream, or well, you're vegan. Do you eat vegan ice cream, or would you have you know some sort of? Yeah,
I do, with one exception. I am a sugar addict, so I have not been. Over the last 5-6 years, I take 10, 11 months a year off of all refined sugar. So like right now, as we're doing this, I am like 110 days into 0 refined sugar. So no desserts.
No desserts right now. You got it, man. Well, John, this has been an absolute pleasure. And this is so exciting that I got to spend a few minutes with you. This is hugely valuable to people that are entrepreneurs, that people that are in sales, that people that want to just, I mean, I'd say anybody. The truth is anybody needs to go get your new book coming out. Tell us about how to get it. Tell us about how to reach you, how to get in touch with you. Because I know there's a lot of people right now, they're going, this is a smart dude. I want to learn from him because I'm going to attack your stuff like never before as well. Again. All right. So, but seriously, tell us how to reach you.
So one of the best ways to learn from me and some other brain experts is go to brainathon123.com. Brainathon123.com. We do an 8-hour training that I recorded that people get access to and watch, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And you'll also be introduced to some of our brain training programs on winning the game of money, for example. If you want to find out more information about my book, it's called Inner Size, like exercise for your body, inner size for your brain. It's on Amazon. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. And then you can follow me on Instagram at John Assaraf. I'm on Facebook on a fan page at John Assaraf. I'm on Twitter. And then go to my company is myneurogym.com, myneurogym.com. So a variety of different places, lots of free stuff, lots of stuff that people could dive deeper into the work that we do to really maximize their fullest potential.
So much fun. So much fun. God bless you, John. Everybody, if you're not following John, make sure you go follow him, get all his stuff, buy his new book, whatever you got to do to support this guy, because he is really making a world of difference. I always tell people, people like you are making this world a better place. And we as a world need more people, more great people just like you. So again, thank you. God bless you. And with that said, everybody, make sure you continue to dream bigger, but make sure that you do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.